study, the key finding from the Evelyn Wamboe and Stephanie Seguino paper from 2015. And what they do is to do a cross-sectional, a panel data estimation based on aggregate data of women's labor supply, where they have proxies for physical infrastructure. The proxies are the access to improved sanitation and telephone lines per 100 persons. Right? So that's one way to measure, that's the way they chose to measure the state of physical infrastructure. And what they find is that that has a positive effect on women's labor supply. And they speculate that this could be due to the way that this infrastructure can ease the demands of household production on women. Right? So that's speculated. So that's the kind of studies that we have here. Then there's some studies by the anthropologist by Gina Porter, 2007, and that's based on field work done in Ghana by her and other colleagues. Now, she's an anthropologist, like I said, so it's coming from that particular perspective on spatial poverty trap. And then there is a study which was, I think, partially sponsored by the ILO in Makete in Tanzania, as part of the integrated rural development project in Tanzania. And the general finding, I mean, these studies cover a lot of ground and we don't have time to go into it, but just to give you a flavor of the findings, is that the difficulty of children, especially girls, in getting to schools, how these physical infrastructure deficits lead to that, the poor condition of roads, and its long-term impact in terms of perpetuating intergenerational cycles of poverty. And then the negative impact on health, that's due to distance, the loads carried, etc. Recently, at least to my knowledge, the best kind of overview of this literature on the effect of transportation or better transportation on women's time poverty was carried out by the Asian Development Bank, the paper from 2015. And what they seem to find is that access to transport have the most transformative effect on women's roles and status. Improved transport increases mobility and presents an opportunity to travel to schools, health centers, and work, as well as for social and leisure trips. But at the same time, it can have a contradictory effect on time spent on household production. Right? And because it may open new work opportunities, for example, for women. Right? So that may increase their time poverty, given that the traditional roles as caregivers remain unchanged.